All right, welcome back to a very brand new video here on the second channel. Now that Prismatic Evolutions is out, it's time to look at some more online tournament results. I'm interested to see if any of the new cards are making an impact. How is the format shaking up here in these online tournaments with new cards being legal on Pokemon TCG Live? New cards being out, like, is Budew making an impact at all? Are there any other new cool archetypes from Prismatic Evolution seeing play? I want to find out all that in today's video. This format will be legal for UIC, so these results may have a direct impact on what goes down at UIC. Also, I haven't done one of these videos in quite a while, so I'm excited to get back into the swing of things now that there's a brand new set out to look at here for these online tournaments. But if y'all are new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 21,000 subs. And if you go on to enjoy the video, leave a like as always, and I'll leave a link to play.limitless down below if you want to go play in any of these online tournaments for yourself. Leave a link to that down below. Who knows, maybe it'll feature in one of the videos. So yeah, starting things off, we have the Sunny's Weekly here, which was won by a Cloth Terapagos deck, it looks like. Now, there's a couple cards in here that you haven't seen before. And of course, the first one is that Budew. Budew makes a lot of sense within Cloth because it allows you to use Itchy Pollen with Binding Mochi Poison, which makes your Budew hit even harder out of nowhere, which is pretty hilarious, actually. So I would imagine Cloth is one of the better decks that can use Budew, because you actually make the Budew do even more damage with the Poison. There is the Monkey Dory in the deck, too. Obviously, Monkey Dory is nice against Dragapult. There's a lot of, potential of Dragapult being the BDIF in this format. And if Dragapult's going to be one of the top decks to look out for, having the Monkey Dory can give you a little bit of leverage against that deck. The only issue with using the Budew in the Cloth deck is you do poison it, so you do have to, switch it out of the active spot with, switch card and stuff, because it will get eventually knocked out by poison, but it's a pretty strong archetype still, and I think Cloth might get better with Budew. It might be a decent enough upgrade for the deck to even be even better. It has fallen off a little bit, I would say. Cloth isn't as good as it was before, but maybe with Budew, the deck's just getting even better, especially when the Budew can do so much damage with the poison. Second place, there was a Lugia V-Star here, really just gaining one new card with Regigigas, but Gigas is a really good new card for Lugia, right? Gigas allows Lugia to hit even insaner numbers now versus the Terra EX Pokemon like Charizard and Dragapult. It's one of the reasons why Lugia looks like it's going to be a good deck this format. It also has Iron Hands in the deck. I mean, Iron Hands and Gigas is a pretty good combo, right? You have the Hands, which can cover a lot of the little Pokemon, then you have the Gigas, which can take out some of the big Pokemon like the Dragapult and the Charizard. So yeah, Gigas is a big upgrade to the deck. I did lose to Cloth in the finals, which, it's, probably close to, it's a close matchup for both decks, I think. I think really whoever can kind of take the first lead in the match probably is favored. But, yeah, we do see Lugia there in second place with the Gigas. We got another Lugia here in the top four. This one also playing Regigigas. This one does play Flutter Mane, though, so a little bit more heavy on, the Flutter. The Flutter being good against Thorns. Obviously nice to have against stuff like that. So it makes sense why the Flutter's in there just to try to deflect Thorns. But yeah, just play the Gigas. No Cinccino. I guess, the big takeaway here. No Cinccino. But, the logic can be well, now that we have Regigigas, you don't really need Cinccino, because now you have your one-shot attacker with the Gigas. But it's only one-shotting the Terras, or the big Terras anyways. Right? You can already one-shot, stuff pretty easily. Teal Mask Ogerpon easily gets killed by Lugia. But, the Gigas makes sense, right? If you're not going to play the Cinccino, the Gigas is, a fine replacement. Makes sense. You do lose a little bit more firepower by cutting the Cinccino, but the Gigas does add a lot of value to the deck for sure. We have a third Lugia in top four. That's crazy. Now, this one does not play Regigigas, however, just kind of the normal build of Lugia with the double Cinccino while spraying. Yeah, no Gigas in that list. That's pretty funny. 3 of the top 4 was Lugia. That's crazy. We had a Gholdengo in top 8. I think Gholdengo looks pretty cool. It's the Gholdengo Palkia Togekiss deck with a Monkey Dory, so a lot more going on here. I do like the idea of Monkey Dory in Gholdengo. I've tried it before. It's obviously better in a Dragapult meta. It actually lets Gholdengo need 1 less energy to kill a Dragapult when you Phantom Dive. And then the Togekiss is obviously pretty funny. You get those random KOs out of nowhere, and then you have the Palkia in the deck too for some extra attacking options, and gives you the ability to use Cologne and Radiant Greninja as a potential attacker, so that does make some sense too. But yeah, Palkia with the Gholdengo seems good. Monkey Dory is not a bad addition. Didn't really gain anything new. The one thing with Gholdengo, though, is you have to watch out for Budew. If you use all your energy, they can literally Budew you for game. Because you have no way to play the retrievals and put energy back in your hand. That's where the Palkia can come in handy, I guess. But then if you can't retreat the Gholdengo, it doesn't matter. All right, there was a Dragapult here in top 8. We do see the double Budew in there. This is potentially one of the best decks in this format, is this Dragapult Dusknoir Budew deck. Budew kind of slows down your opponent while you have time to set up all your Drag Cloaks. Maybe even set up the Dusknoir, obviously, to make some explosive plays. You kind of just board wipe your opponent out of nowhere with Phantom Dive and Curse Blast while you slow them down with Budew. The Budew definitely makes a big difference in this deck. And it allows this more slower archetype to be a lot more honestly kind of aggressive, right? Because you're not really doing anything under item lock. Well, they're just sitting there building up this huge board with Dragapult and Dusknoir. So I think Budew makes a big difference in this deck, and I think Dragapult Dusknoir is going to be one of the top decks going forward in this format because it does look very scary with Budew. We have another Terabagos in top 8. It's another Cloth Terabagos, however, with the double Budew. Again, the Budew being in the deck to make a big difference with the item lock Mighty Mochi combo. So a lot of Budew in this tournament. We got the Dragapult with the Budew, the Cloth with the Budew, and all that stuff. And then we have another Dragapult Dusknoir in the top 8. Also playing the Budew. Both Dragapult is actually also playing in the lands. This one's interesting. He plays an Eerie in the deck for some disruption. I guess item lock can be funny because you can stop them from playing their ace spec and then you can Eerie it away. That's kind of cool, actually. But yeah, we see the Budew in here. Only one Budew, though, not two. Does have the Tatsugiri in the deck, so still trying to get that setup going with the Tatsugiri in the rescue board. I mean, you can still go Arven for Poffin, right? So it's like, still makes sense. Arven, Poffin, rescue board, retreat a Budew, and then start the lock right away. So I guess that does make sense. And that was the top 8 in this tournament here. Then we got the free deck out Monday, which was won by Gardevoir. However, this Gardevoir list does not play Budew, surprisingly enough. No Budew in this Guardy list here. Does play the Flutter Mane and the Devo, so kind of went back to the old engine of the slow build with the Flutter Mane and the Devo. And the Devo is probably going to be a lot better if Dragapult actually is going to be that better in this format. There was a Charizard Terabagos in the finals here, so it's a deck that I always think is like really good, just never catches on. Not enough people play it, I guess, but I really do like Charizard Terabagos. It's a very strong deck. It has a lot of explosive plays with the Noctowl in there. Its turn 2 is always really good. You don't always bench Rotom. You bench Terabagos, which, you know, it's not the same as Rotom, so there's like the benefit of that. But yeah, this deck is really strong in my opinion. I'm surprised more people just don't really play it, but it's a really cool deck, and it was able to get finals. It did lose to Gardevoir. It's probably a tough matchup when they have Devo. We have Palkia and Noctowl in top 4. This deck's, you know, going to be more popular going forward because of its results this weekend. Also, I don't think it's terrible in the Budew format because you do have a lot of items, obviously, which is annoying. But Palkia is a pretty aggressive card that, you know, can punish your opponent for playing a bit slower because you can capitalize on those Greninja plays a lot more easily. If they don't bench Manaphy, you can just kind of ninja them. So yeah, this deck seems pretty good still, too, even post this weekend. We'll have to see how it does in the Budew format. Ceruledge making top 4. It's another deck that does maybe get better this format because if the format does slow down a little bit, an aggressive, hard-hitting Peach Stick deck like Ceruledge could get even stronger. Ceruledge can do some insane numbers. It's just always struggling to get over the edge. But again, if Budew's going to exist, Ceruledge could be a lot stronger because it does give the deck a little bit more, you know, it gives the deck the ability to be a little bit more aggressive through the Budew because it doesn't really care about Budew, obviously, right? You just kind of go through your opponent really easily, and you punish your opponent for playing slower. Now in the top 8, we did see a really cool Flareon, Jolteon, Leafeon deck. So I am happy to see at least some new cards outside of Budew and Gigas making an impact here. We got the Eeveelution deck here. The deck definitely has the potential to be good. You have some type coverage with your, you know, attackers. You have some versatility with how you're covering. You know, you got the Jolteon, the Flareon. You got that big one-shot attack on both Jolteon and Flareon. It's a really nice archetype. You know, I did a video on it and stuff. It's really fun to play. It just, I feel like it's maybe it's a little too underpowered right now in our format. It was able to get top 8 in this tournament, so I'm happy to see that this Flareon and Friends deck is actually getting top 8s and stuff. It's not just like a flash in the pan. It's actually doing pretty good and making top 8s in tournaments. It does have the Radiant Greninja in the deck with the Cologne and stuff, so you make some Greninja plays happen, which is cool. It's one thing I like about this deck is it has the ability to attack with Radiant Greninja. It's not a bad deck for sure. Definitely a cool archetype. I don't know it'll be competitive. Maybe it'll make a day 2 at one of like their tournaments here in the Prismatic format. But I mean, it's definitely a deck that has potential later on in like its life. But you know, right now it's like a fine little deck, and it was able to get top 8, which is cool. It's an Archaladon in top 8. This deck definitely is on the rise right now for sure. It does play one new card here. It looks like we see the Black Bells training in the deck, letting Archaladon do 40 or more damage to EXs. This actually makes a lot of sense to the deck. Now Archaladon can do 260, which is knocking out most other big basic Pokemon. So I do like the idea of the Black Belt in the Archaladon deck. But yeah, Archaladon does look like it's going to be a lot stronger in this format for sure. It's just like Ceruledge. It's just a deck that doesn't really care about Budew and just kind of does its thing and just sets up really easily and can kind of sweep through the opponent. I mean, even the Duraludon just knocks out Budew in one hit for 1 metal energy. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's a deck that definitely is going to get stronger in the Budew format. Got a Lugia in top 8. This one does have the Cinccino and the Regigigas in there. The Gigas, again, making a big difference. Playing Jamming Tower over Mesagoza. Try to be a little bit more aggressive towards stuff like Dragapult and Gardevoir that rely a little bit more heavily on those tools. And then in the top 8, another Cloth here. No Budew, though, in this build. So interesting. We don't see any Budew. It's just a normal Cloth deck, actually. No Tropicos either. Just straightforward Cloth as your main attacker, which is definitely interesting to see. But that was that tournament. We can move on now. We got the Pumpka 30th birthday weekly tournament here. That was won by Regidrago. And Regidrago with no new cards, no Budew or anything in the deck. Just straightforward Drago list here. Has the egg in there. Tina, Dragapult, Gudra, Kyurem, stuff like that. We'll have to see how Drago does in this new format, right? This is the first Drago we've looked at. We'll have to see how good Drago's doing in these online tournaments. Again, potential of Budew to slow it down is there, right? It stops you from playing E-Switch, which can make it harder to get those aggressive Dragos off, and it gives your opponent more time to set up, which usually Drago can struggle with if that does happen. It was able to beat Zard in the finals, yeah. We do see Zard here with Grand Tree. Now, Charizard could be good in this format if Budew catches on, right? Charizard gets worse because it's a deck that really does rely on that like double candy combo. When you get Budewed, you can't use rare candy and your deck can't function and you just kind of crumble the Budew. But Grand Tree could help the deck because it does allow you to evolve around Budew. The only problem with Grand Tree is you can't use Grand Tree with Charizard's ability. So you can't Grand Tree out Charizard EX and then put energy in play. You have to evolve into Charmeleon, and then you'd have to wait a turn to then evolve into Charizard. But you can't get Pidgeot out right away. And getting Pidgeot out against Budew isn't so bad because quick search in every turn isn't the worst thing ever. So yeah, Charizard could be good going forward. We'll have to see on that one. We got Miraidon in top 4. Another deck that could get weaker with Budew. Just if decks are going to spam Budew now, Miraidon can get weaker because you don't have access to Generator. And without Generator, this deck is kind of mid because you're just kind of manually attached energy. It doesn't really do a whole lot. I mean, I guess you have Raikou and Latias. You can, like, Raikou the Budew. But we'll have to see if Miraidon still sees play in this format. I mean, if Lugia is going to be a lot more popular, honestly, Miraidon doesn't seem bad in a Lugia meta. We'll have to see on that one, though, obviously. Ceruledge in top 4. Palkia Ceruledge, again, just another deck that doesn't mind the format getting a bit slower. Just still an aggressive deck. You know, we did see it get top 32 in Birmingham, so it's a deck that, you know, we could see on the rise more. We got another deck here, and that's a Budew Greninja Frostlass deck. Okay, I kind of like this idea. I've thought about playing Greninja with Budew too. In this format, so I'm glad that this idea actually does have potential. Frostlass Greninja is a deck that, I mean, got a little bit of attention when the set first came out, right? The idea of Greninja Frostlass made sense, but never really did anything. But maybe Greninja Frostlass does have potential, and maybe Budew is enough to make the deck a lot stronger. I mean, the idea of Budew Frostlass already is really strong, right? I did a video on Glaceon Frostlass Budew, and that deck was pretty fun to play and pretty decent. So maybe Greninja Frostlass Budew is going to be a lot better too. Again, I've thought of the idea of Greninja Budew, but Frostlass might be the way to actually play the Greninja Budew deck, actually. So maybe I got to try this deck out for a YouTube video. Definitely down for sure. It looks like it's a lot of fun to play. Yeah, cool stuff. Another Ceruledge in top 8. So one does have the Budew in the deck, so can slow the opponent down. And then does have Palkia and does have the 2 Dark Energy with the Monkey Dory, which is interesting. I guess one thing to note about Budew and Ceruledge and Palkia is you can Budew your opponent. So you're playing against an evolution deck, you Budew them, they can't play items, they can't find Manaphy, they can't evolve with rare candy, and then you can break the item lock and then Greninja them, and then shut them off completely. So there is some potential there for that Budew combo in Ceruledge against Stage 2 decks. I kind of like that idea, actually. Then we have, of course, a Charizard Dragapult here with Budew. Another deck that does get better with Budew. Because, again, Dragapult in general with Budew is already really strong, and Charizard is a really powerful card with Dragapult. This build looks kind of close to what we saw making day 2 at Birmingham, playing the Precious Trolley as the spec over Neo Upper or Sparkling Crystal or even Unfair Stamp. But yeah, I'm excited to try out Dragazard again. This is one of my favorite decks because I had such a good run with it. It won me 2 League Cups and a League Challenge. Like, I love this deck. It just fell off after Drago came out. But maybe it's going to be a lot better now with Budew. So I'm definitely excited to revisit this archetype and recook it a little bit with the addition of Budew in the format. Really excited to try it out for sure. And then in the top 8, once again, we got another Lugia here with the Cinccino and the Gigas. Pretty solid list. The Gigas, again, being a big difference maker in the deck for sure. And the Cinccino also being really good. And that was the top 8 of this tournament here. Yeah, that was top 8. All right, moving on. We got the Prismatic Ditto tournament, which was won by Lugia. Once again, Lugia being really good in this format. One of the top decks for sure, just because of Regigigas being in the deck. Lugia's another deck that doesn't really mind the Budew as much. I mean, yeah, it shuts off your Ultra Balls and your Aromas, which is kind of annoying, but you can just kind of just sit there and read the wind and you just build up your board. Usually, Lugia just wins if you're building up your board. Like, if the Budew's not really doing anything to you, you're just reading the Winding Array Archeops. You can't really get punished for it. And then you can, like, amp the Budew and stuff. But, yeah, Lugia, really good. Was able to beat Drago in the finals. Not really surprised to see that. But this, ooh, hold the phone. We got a spicy Drago list here. Drago with Flareon. Okay. I mean, that makes sense, right? Flareon is a way to power up your Regidrago. Can I kind of work under the item lock, right? You can't E-switch, but you can at least Flareon. That's a cool concept, actually. Flareon and Drago is kind of a cool thing. It's also a fire type, so it can be good in the mirror match. You can use it to knock out the Ogre Pawns. That's actually very interesting. Yeah, Flareon and Regidrago seems like an interesting concept. That's cool to see. So we got some more Flareon action here in this tournament. We got Dusknoir, Dragapult once again here in top 4 with the Budew in the deck. Just, again, Budew being a good card. We got the triple Lance in there. So Lance may be real for this deck. We got a Lugia, of course, in top 4. Once again, this one does not play Cinccino, however, does play Gigas Radzard in the deck with Luminous Energy. Interesting. It's got the Flutter Mane in there, the Iron Hands, just kind of more of your toolbox approach towards the deck. Yeah, seems pretty good too, of course. Cool stuff. Looks like we got, I think, Cloth here. Yeah, another Cloth Budew deck with the Monkey Dory. Like the list we looked at earlier, playing the Monkey Dories, got the double Budew in there. Just, at this point, it's more of like a Terapagos toolbox deck, basically. Just a toolbox of attackers. So that's cool. We got Tina Lawson in the top 8. A deck I haven't seen in a long time. Tina Lawson does have the Monkey Dory. It's interesting. I mean, helps a lot against Dragapult, I guess. And, I mean, if Tina can set up, it usually can go through these big threats like Dragapult because you can start Requiem them. You do get Greninja and Sableye, you know, your spread attackers, which is nice. Yeah, Tina's not a terrible deck. If I remember correctly, the Tina Lawson deck was actually doing okay in Japan when we were looking at Prismatic results. So maybe Lawson will come back in this format. Again, it does maybe worry about Budew, though, because then you can't play half your deck because your items. But, you know, maybe it's okay. Who knows? I mean, as long as you're flower selecting under Budew, it's really not the end of the world, I guess. Another Dragapult deck here. Dragapult Dusknoir with, of course, double Budew. And then got another Cloth deck here in the top 8. Once again, playing the Budew in the deck. And Black Belt's training. Not a bad upgrade to the deck, actually. Black Belt letting you hit even harder definitely could be pretty good for sure. But that was the top 8 of this tournament. We got the Mudkip Champion Tournament, which was also won by Lugia. So Lugia having some pretty good results here so far in the first little bit of Prismatic Evolution speed. Now we see Gigas making a very big impact here in this tournament here. A lot of Gigas in Lugia. This one playing the 1-1 Cinccino as opposed to 2-2. That's nice. Let's see here. What did it beat in the finals? Beat a Gardevoir in the finals here, it looks like. Yeah, Gardevoir with Budew. So there we go. So this one does play Budew. It does play the Secret Box too, but no rare candy or anything or research. But yeah, Budew in the Gardevoir deck. Again, Gardevoir could be really good just because it does get access to Budew, and Budew does make Gardevoir a lot stronger. Usually Gardevoir wins a lot of games when he gets to set up. And Budew lets you set up a lot more easily to slow your opponent down. Also, just makes it so your opponent doesn't get to set up as fast, which is really, really good. Charizard in top 4 with also Grand Tree. So, looks like Charizard is making some waves in this format here. Double Charmeleon, triple Charizard, 2 Pidgeotto from the looks of it. What was it? 2 Pidgeotto. Yeah, crazy. TM Evo and even in the deck there too. So yeah, just really trying to counter the Budew by just being able to evolve around it, which is interesting. Then we got another Gardevoir here in the top 4. Also playing the Budew, playing Unfair Stamp, though, as you expect this time around. All right. Let's see here what else we got. It's going to let me go back. There we go. All right. We got Ceruledge here in the top 8. Playing the Budew and the Monkey Dory also, and the Palkia. Yeah, I like this idea for sure. I like this idea of playing Ceruledge with Palkia and Budew. The Monkey Dory also, again, does help a little bit against Dragapult, which does make sense. Then we got Archaladon here in top 8. Archaladon, Dialga. Yeah, just another deck that doesn't really mind the Budew just because you have Duraludon, which can knock it out. Dialga's still really good. You got the double jamming tower. It looks similar to what we kind of saw at the Osaka Champions League. And then we got a Gholdengo in the top 8. Once again, with the Togekiss. No Palkia or anything. Just Gholdengo Togekiss. Does have that Lana's Aid in the deck. I do like the idea of Lana's Aid in Gholdengo. Because again, if you get item locked and you have no energy left, theoretically you cannot KO the Budew. You can't Monkey Dory it because they're not going to do any damage to you. Because Gholdengo resists grass. So when you have the Lana's Aid in the deck, you do have a way to get around Budew without having to worry about not being able to retrieval a single energy back in your hand. But yeah, Gholdengo still seems good in this format. It doesn't seem bad at all. Togekiss is still really strong with the deck, obviously. And then the top 8, once again, we got another Cloth deck here with the Monkey Dory in the deck and the Budew. So there you go, more Cloth Budew action. That was the top 8 of this tournament. And then finally, we have the Redacted tournament here. This might have been the first tournament with Prismatic Legal. The deck that won was actually Miraidon, so don't look like there's any new cards in here. There is a Rotom V in the deck, though, for some instant charge action, but no other like new Prismatic cards. I mean, Miraidon doesn't really gain anything. You're not going to play Budew in Miraidon. It was able to beat Lugia in the finals, obviously. Just kind of makes sense, right? Lugia does have to worry about Miraidon. I don't know if Miraidon will be good in this format, but if it is, Lugia's going to have to worry about it. And we see this, once again, Lugia with the hands, the Gigas. Got the 1-1 line of the Cinccino in there, too. Looking pretty good. Wow, it had to go through 2 Miraidon top 4. That's interesting. So Miraidon has a Minior in the deck. Trying to respect Snorlax a little bit there, which is kind of funny. But yeah, another Miraidon here. So yeah, 2 Miraidon in top 8, or top 4 is interesting, considering, this deck might fall off a little bit in this format. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm wrong. We got yet another Dragapult deck here with the one of a Budew, playing the double lands. Got the Dusknoir in there and stuff. Makes sense. Couple more Lugias here in the top 8. Yeah, so I guess one thing to take away with this video, a lot of Lugia, man, a lot. We've looked at a lot of Lugia so far. Once again, playing Gigas has the Charizard in there and no Cinccino in the deck at all. So that's interesting. Then we got another Lugia here in top 8. Once again, this one is a Lugia deck. Got the Regigigas hands, double Cinccino in this one. Plays a Jamming Tower, Mesagoza Split, and a Thornton. So a little bit more teched out there. Looks like we got another Tropico's Cloth deck with the 2 Budew, making top 8 in this tournament. And then, what else do we got here? We got a Snorlax in top 8. I mean, Snorlax might be okay in this format. I don't know if it's very good against Budew, because, Budew can item lock you, and you can't play your counter catchers and your flutes, but I don't know, maybe Snorlax will be fine in the Budew format. We'll have to find out on that one. Snorlax with the Miracle Headset LCA spec has the Cornerstone and the Mimikyu. I mean, Snorlax could get worse, so if there's going to be a lot more Lugia, because, again, Lugia looks really good in this format. But there you go. Those are the recent online tournaments with Prismatic being legal. I think one of the big takeaways is that Lugia did really good. There was a lot of Lugia in these online tournaments. So could that mean Miraidon could be a better play going forward if there's going to be all this Lugia? Quite possibly, right? There was a lot of Lugia. Lugia was doing really well this week, so definitely looks like Lugia is going to be back on the rise. The Gigas is a huge upgrade to the deck. It just lets the deck do more things. Drago, did do okay. Obviously, Drago falling off a little bit in these online tournaments just because Budew could affect it. We did see that really cool Drago Flareon deck. We also saw that Flareon Jolteon deck, which was kind of cool too. So we did see some cool new decks here. A lot of Budew and a lot of Gigas were kind of the main takeaways, and kind of what I expected, of course, with these recent online tournaments here for the first week. We'll have to see what the second week of online tournaments does look like, of course. But hope you enjoyed the video here on the online tournament result video. Again, I'll leave a link to Play.Limos if you want to go play an online tournament for yourself, or maybe you want to check out any of the decks for yourself, try them out on PCG Live, or anything like that. Check it out down below, and I'll catch you on another video here very soon on the second channel. Yeah, bye-bye.